Welcome to Attenuation, a weekly podcast where two friends come together to drink beer, discuss beer styles and trends, and just generally ruminate on the meaning of life, aka beer. If you enjoy your time with us, we invite you to become a weekly listener and subscribe to the podcast. Without further ado, here is this week's episode.
Hello, and welcome to episode 34 of Attenuation, a beer podcast. My name is Jason, and I'm joined by my best friend since 8th grade, Steven.
Hello.
How's it going, Steven?
Awesome.
You ready to drink some beer today?
I am ready.
Good. So today, our topic is memorable beer drinking experiences. So we should have some good stories, yeah.
I have a few of those.
Nice. But, of course, we have to honor tradition, and tradition is that we drink beer on the podcast. So I'm going to introduce my beer, give some nose notes, and I'll pass it over to Steven. I'm drinking Cherry Cobbler from Martin House Brewing Company.
Oh, that's a streak. You're on a Martin House streak.
Yeah, thanks to you. But it's good. I'm glad I'm on a Martin House streak. And this is a cherry sour ale with graham crackers and lactose, and it's 8%. As a preview to our beer news, I'm drinking it out of a Great Notion glass that I got on our trip to Seattle.
A little teaser.
Yes, and you'll find out soon enough why. So this is pouring a beautiful bright red. I poured it way too fast. There's a massive head on there, but it's super fine bubbles and they're pink. Ooh, this smells so good. It smells like cherry cobbler. Cherries, graham cracker, vanilla. Ooh, just bright cherry. Ooh, I'm excited about this one. All right, I'm going to enjoy this, and I'm going to pass it to Steven to introduce his beer.
All right, so I'm drinking Dumb Fruit 8 from Evil Twin Brewing in New York City. This is like a series they do, this Dumb Fruit series of fruited sours. This one is brewed with pineapple, passionfruit, peach, and peach gummies.
Oh.
Like peach rings, I guess.
Yeah, that's quite an adjunct.
It's a 6.6% fruit sour. So not gimmicky at all.
It just has candy in it. I want to know what color it is. Okay.
Looks like a peach ring, honestly.
Yeah.
Kind of a hazy orange. A little bit thick. Not super thick, but it's a little bit thick. So not like full-on smoothie sour. Somewhere in the middle. But yeah, a nice like hazy orange, kind of looks like pineapple juice.
It does.
Oh, it smells like, remember those Dole juices? They were like a mix of banana and they were like orange, pineapple, banana.
And it came in like a can?
No, it was like like a milk carton kind of thingy.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
I remember drinking Dole juices out of like little cans, but.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Is that what it smells like?
Yeah, there's like pineapple, orange. I don't know, I guess I get a little bit of peach, but very strong pineapple and guava.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is probably going to taste like juice.
Alcoholic juice.
All right, my favorite.
I like this cherry cobbler. I don't think that I like it as much as last week, the blue raspberry one, which is shocking because it's cherry. Because it's not as sour. So it's a little sour in the beginning. It tastes like sour cherry juice. And it's not overly sweet. It has like a really dark cherry flavor. And then you do get the graham cracker, like pie crust kind of flavors. A little bit of like cinnamon maybe. And then the finish is like, then it gets a little sweet on the finish, like cherry filling. You know, like if you open a can, like canned cherry filling.
Yeah.
It tastes like that. And it's a little tiny bit boozy because it is 8%, but barely. And then it's almost like, it definitely like coats your mouth a little bit. And then it slightly dries your mouth out a little bit too. I like it. I wish it was a little more sour. But I'm never really going to complain about a cherry beer. So I'll give it a thumbs sideways.
Yeah, I have to admit, wasn't my favorite Martin House. I've had tons of Martin House sours at this point. And not like, it's like right in the middle of my list.
Yeah, it's like, I wouldn't complain if I got this. Like, I'd be happy to see it at a restaurant if I was craving something cherry, but they really nailed it with that that blue raspberry, just a way. And obviously, this is all down to your own personal preference, but I like it. I want a sour beer to be a little bit mouth puckering sour. So, and that's not really present here, but it definitely provides what it says.
They have this. It's called Mystic Mountain Goza, and it's blueberry Goza, I think. Anyway, it's super sour, and I think it definitely probably tops my list of Martin House sours. And I should have brought you one.
Yeah, I'll get it when I come visit you.
But yeah, it's really sour. Some of their beers are very sour. I think they went a little bit more mild for the sort of cherry pie flavors, cherry cobbler flavor. But
yeah, it makes sense, especially if you're going to do a lot of sours. You probably don't want to make them all super sour, because I think you and me are in the extreme that we like the super sour, but I can't imagine those are the most popular.
Yeah. All right. So thumbs to the middle. So my beer is very good.
Okay.
It's very sweet. This is not a dry beer. This is very sweet. It's like straight pineapple juice.
Okay.
At the beginning, sweet, like candied pineapple. You do get this sort of peach candy flavor, like a kind of an artificial peach. The passion fruit, this is actually one of the things I like about this beer, is that sometimes passion fruit or guava in my sours is too overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
It's too overpowering. This doesn't. The passion fruit like just almost lends more to the sourness than anything. So it's just this really nice passion fruit sourness. Tiny bit of alcohol, actually, which sometimes these fruit smoothies just completely hide it, but it's there. I mean, like I said, it's a 6.6% beer, so not crazy, but it's right there in the back of the throat. Yeah, just a really strong pineapple finish. It's really good.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and I like that the mouthfeel isn't too thick. I think that's what bothers me with some of the smoothie sours. It's like way too thick.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they have this weird off thing, and maybe it's when they use lactose or vanilla in them that kind of makes it weird. This one doesn't have that, so very much liking this beer. It's solid. I mean, it's just like drinking juice, but it's solid.
Well, we've established that you like beers that taste like juice, so as do I.
Occasionally.
Yeah, when you're in the mood for it, sure.
Yeah, it's very sweet, but it's fun.
So, and I like that you said you do detect the peach ring flavor.
Definitely. Yeah, it kind of comes in secondary, but it's there.
That's awesome. Like if you're gonna be cheeky and put candy in the beer, I want to be able to taste it, right?
Right. Exactly.
So very cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get more of this dumb series.
Yeah, I like that they're called dumb. That's funny.
Yeah. Dumb fruit.
Dumb fruit.
I like that they're self-aware. Like
yeah.
Very stupid beers to brew, but they brew them anyway.
Yep, and I'm sure they're very popular. All right, are you ready for the beer news?
Yes.
So you actually alerted this to me, but very close to where I live, in Natomas, we're getting a Great Notion taproom. And Steven and I love Great Notion, and that's why I'm drinking out of my Great Notion beer glass.
I saw on Instagram they posted something about deliveries coming soon to Sacramento. Or no, it said deliveries coming to California. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Jason can get some Great Notion deliveries in California. And then I started looking into it more and realizing that the reason why you can get deliveries in California is because they're going to ship it from the new tap room that's coming this fall. I was like, where this fall? So I don't know exactly when the opening date is, but probably sometime this month or next month. So that's pretty exciting.
Yes, they make some great sours. So we're huge fans of sour beer in general. So
they make some good stouts too.
That's true. Yeah,
and good IPAs.
They basically make all the stuff we like.
I cannot remember, Juice Baby or something. I don't know. They were some really good IPAs.
Yeah, I'm excited, and it'll be interesting to see what we get there, and then kind of what the options are for taking it home. But at minimum, you can obviously probably get a growler fill, so that'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, because I was looking at, they're going to also be selling 4-packs of beers in cans through DoorDash. You can have it delivered through DoorDash. I'm sure they're gonna have tons of 4-packs you can go and buy. So
Wow, that's the dream.
having beer delivered through DoorDash.
Right? It's like, look how far we've come in the craft brew world.
Yeah. I will say though, the one problem is they're a little spendy.
Oh, are they?
Like probably the cheapest 4-pack of their beers is $18.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if you DoorDash that, it's going to be like $30.
So we better go just pick it up.
I'll just go pick it up. I actually don't DoorDash anything. I mean, I'm lucky and I don't it's just me and my wife. I don't have kids, so it's pretty easy for me to go pick things up. I know the convenience factor is obviously they bring it to you, but I don't know. I could never wrap my head around saving myself the 10-minute drive for a very expensive tax you're basically putting on top of whatever you're getting. So
yeah.
I'll be happy to go to the brewery and pick up those $18 4-packs.
Yeah, I've only ever used it one time, and I think it was because I had a free shipping or a free delivery and something. But you still you tip them, and then you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, takeout is already expensive. It's you're just adding more layers of expense on top of it. So
I think I can just go pick it up. I do that with pizza too. I rarely even have pizza delivered. I usually just am I'll go pick it up.
Right.
Good $5 cheaper at least just to go pick it up.
Especially because Round Table is my favorite, and they even did this when we worked there. They charge for delivery, and if you're nice, which I am, and I have mercy on all people who walk that industry of the pizza delivery person, even though that's kind of a sweet gig, especially if you're in high school. But yeah, I'm gonna tip them because I used to do it, so I gotta show the respect. Gotta show respect. But they charge $4 or $5 for delivery just on top of your order, and then I'm gonna tip the guy $4 or $5. So it's oh man, I'm adding $10 to Round Table, which is already super expensive.
The most pizza.
I miss our discount when we worked there. Oh my goodness.
Good old days.
Yes. So did you have some? So yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm super excited for the Great Ocean opening, and I'll definitely be checking out what beers they have on tap and what beers they have available for pickup. And I'll probably be drinking one of those on the podcast soon.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. So do you have some? I heard you had some postscripts.
Oh yeah. So last week we talked about beer and food pairings. Again, when I was listening to the editing and listening to the episode, I was kind of annoyed with myself that I did not do more research into pairing sours with food.
Okay.
More specifically, pairing Gozas and Berliner Weisses to food, since those are my two favorite sour beers. So I just wanted to make a couple postscripts on pairing beers with Gozas.
Okay.
Through my research of that, the overwhelming majority of them said shrimp or scallop ceviche, fish tacos with a mango salsa, or a mild sweet cheese like a goat cheese. So you wouldn't want to really pair your Goza, which is a salty beer, with a briny cheese like feta or something, because that's too much salt with salt. So you want to balance the salt with the sweet. So that's you get that kind of fish with mango salsa, ceviche, got vegetables, that kind of thing. So fish, shrimp, scallops, seafood, mix that with a Goza or a sweet cheese.
The sweet cheese and Goza sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does sound really good.
Yeah, I would have never thought of that, so that's a good idea.
And then the Berliner Weiss, that is a German beer. So a lot of things said to pair it with a big pretzel with mustard. Okay,
I would have never thought of that either.
I know, right? And then the other thing was French fries. So with the Berliner Weiss, it actually is good to do something salty.
Okay.
Because the beer itself doesn't have salt, but it complements well with the salt. So, because really, what Goza is kind of just a coriander and salt in a Berliner Weiss. So
it's salty Berliner Weiss.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, you can add the salt to the Berliner Weiss with salty French fries or pretzel. There you go.
Nice. I like it.
Try it out.
Very good additions. Yeah, I want to do some research, some at-home testing. Have you tested the steak and IPA yet?
No, not yet.
You got to do it and report back, sir.
Haven't done a good steak. I did a burger and a Newcastle Brown the other day.
How is that?
It was yummy.
Yeah, that sounds good together. All right,
It's kind of fun to have a Newcastle Brown. I haven't had that beer in a long time.
Yeah, that was my favorite beer for a long time.
And we learned, that was another weird thing we learned this week, was that Newcastle was, well, I guess they were purchased by Heineken, and Heineken owns Lagunitas, so now Newcastle Brown is just brewed and bottled at Lagunitas in Petaluma, California.
Is it really? That is, yeah, you texted me that. I guess I didn't fully wrap my head around how weird that is.
Yeah, it's like a traditional English beer.
Yeah, and it's being made right here in California. That's so funny. And not to mention, I think that was another, I feel like that brewery also got sold for like $1 billion or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Lagunitas?
Yeah.
Making it big.
Yeah.
Props to them.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. It's hard to imagine $1 billion. I saw an interview with do you remember Justin TV that became Twitch?
No.
Twitch is like an online video game streaming service, and he said they interviewed him, and it also got bought for like, I don't remember if it was $1 billion, but it was some like insane number, like 900 million.
Yeah.
And the interviewer was asking him like, what is that like? He's like, imagine if you opened your bank account tomorrow and there was like $10 million in there, how like incomprehensible that would be. He's like, yeah, 900 million or whatever he got is like, it just all falls into the same incomprehensible. Like,
yeah.
Once you hit like a certain number, it doesn't make sense anymore.
Right.
So he's like, yeah, it felt insane, but like I can't quantify like the level of insanity that it felt, and I thought it was pretty funny. So it's probably what it feels like when you start a brewery, probably like in your garage, and then one day you sell it for $1 billion.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense no matter where you are, and you're the guy selling it or the guy buying it or just me and you. It just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, do you want to get into our main topic, memorable beer stories?
Yeah.
Or, sorry, memorable beer drinking experiences.
Yes. Craft beer, I mean, we have a podcast about it, so we obviously like it a lot. And yeah. Our livers are like, really, guys? So I feel like, especially over the last maybe like 5 or 6 years, beer has like kind of intertwined into my life, like in a significant way, in that like a lot of good memories with friends and family and stuff have been while drinking good craft beer. So I thought it would be fun to share some of those stories, meaningful times where craft beer was a big part of that.
Yeah, I like the topic, and I have picked 3 good stories. All right, so would you like to share the first story, sir?
Sure.
Okay.
So first story is kind of two-headed. This is a bachelor party story. So I am not really like a bachelor party guy. I like scraped together a wedding party. Obviously you were in it.
Yeah.
And my brother. And then a friend of it was kind of a mutual friend between my wife and I. It was more her friend than mine. But anyway, the night before the wedding, my wife asked me, are you going to have a bachelor party? And I said, I don't think so. But a couple friends said, like, hey, like, let's just go drink. Let's go out. So we went to G Street Pub. Do you remember that? Did you go?
I'm like, dude, did I fail you as one of your best friends? I didn't.
No. I mean, this is exactly what I wanted, but
yeah.
I think my brother maybe was like, we should probably go do something. So
I do. I believe I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. So we went to G Street Pub, and at this point, my favorite beer was Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Nice.
So I just remember like drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon at my quote unquote bachelor party, which is just the night before the wedding, doing it because they were like, well, I guess we should do something. So anyway, I remember that very much, drinking pitchers of Pabst Blue Ribbon at G Street Pub in Davis, which was a fun place back then. I don't know if it's as good now, but
Yeah, they like rebranded and everything. I don't know. I obviously haven't been there for a long time, but it was definitely fun when we were in like that age.
So the other side of this is your bachelor party, which is so much better and more organized than mine. But you specifically said like, hey, bring some beers. So I specifically made like a huge taproom order, made sure it got there in time. I brought awesome beers. It was so fun to like just do little pours for everybody and have everybody try these beers, and everyone was amazed and just mind blown at some of these really good, like I think I had like 4 or 5 different toppling Goliath, pseudo Sue and King Sue, and
you did
Sosis, and oh man, just some really good toppling Goliath IPAs. So anyway, that was just really, really fun. So my bachelor party, kind of lame. Yours really fun.
Well, it's funny because
both very memorable.
Yeah, I mean, yours is only like a little bit of planning away from mine, and an appreciation of craft beer, which you didn't quite have. But I was kind of the same as you. Like, all I wanted to do, I didn't want to do anything too crazy. I just want to hang out with like close friends and drink really good beer, and then we drank a bunch of scotch too, and then I think we smoked cigars. It was like.
Yeah, played some video games.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I want to do. I guess I'm still like 12, but I like scotch and cigars as well.
Yeah, and 12 plus scotch.
Yeah, and craft beer. But yeah, I remember that was a lot of fun. And it's really cool too because like a lot of the people there, it was very small get together. But it's fun when you can get people that are kind of like getting into craft beer and then pour like really amazing stuff for them and like live vicariously through their like, oh, this is so good. Whereas you're jaded and all you want to drink is barrel-aged unicorn blood. But
right.
At least you can glean some joy from a new craft beer drinker.
No, I mean, that's like a lot of the joy I get is when I share a beer with someone and I'm like, how was it? What'd you think? Did you like it? And
yeah.
That's the joy I find, is trying to find beers that people will like and sharing them with them. So
yeah, especially if you get like the light bulb moment, like where a style clicks for somebody. Yeah, that's really exciting.
Definitely.
Okay, that's good. Okay, I have a bachelor party story too.
Okay.
So
we're on a theme here.
Yes, I was in charge of doing a bachelor party for my friend Matt, one of my other best friends, and it was so hard. Planning a bachelor party is so stressful. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's not that bad, but I'm a high anxiety person, so I just worry about everything. And I was trying to get I was making this like grand plan of like, we're going to paintball and then we're going to do all this stuff. It was too elaborate for most people coming. But the ultimate part of my idea was that we're going to get a big limo, like a stretch limo, because I didn't want to have to drive. And we were going to go to Sierra Nevada and we're going to do the tour, and then we were going to drink beer and eat at their restaurant. So I was coordinating it all through email, and I thought I had like 12 people that were going to go. And within like the last 5 to 6 days, like 8 of them canceled. So I'm like, oh no, this is like a disaster. So I actually got rescued, actually very funny. Somehow, and I'm not 100% sure how, but Matt's dad and some of his uncles basically got wind of the fact that we were going to Sierra Nevada, and they were like, we want to go. So they were contacting me like the day before, like, hey, we want to go on the bachelor party. And I was like, okay, I guess. Like, let me just ask Matt if like, is it cool if your dad comes on the bachelor party? Like, I don't know, not everybody would want their dad at the bachelor party.
Right.
But obviously he is like really close with his dad, so he's like, yeah, sure, let him come. Like, let them come. So they kind of came and like saved the day, because it went from like, just because I was like a broke college student and I was like, oh no, I was like planning on splitting all this like 12 ways. Like now it's like 4 people. Like, this is going to be so expensive. But they ended up coming and like, they helped like bankroll the whole thing. So it ended up like bailing me out. And then they had like more fun than any of us. They were like living vicariously through us. So they were just like on this, they're on this bachelor party. And then we just like, we did it big. We got like all the food, and they have all the pretzels with all the mustards, and I don't know, I'll just never forget how much fun we had. And then on the way back, we just all kind of drunkenly rode back in the limo together and just got into like, crazy philosophical discussions, and I don't know. We just had a really fun time. So again, it's like the really good recipe of like a smallish group of close friends and add craft beer, and it always turns out
Makes everything better.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like if I caught wind of somebody I knew going to Sierra Nevada on a bachelor party, I would try to join too.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd be like, I can go. I'll pay. Yep, that sounds fun. It's funny how I'm at the age now where I can very much relate to his dad and uncles being like, we want to go.
Uh-huh.
And having more fun than anybody else.
It's funny how, the time and experience and age, you start to appreciate things in different ways. Even though we're not that old, but
Yeah, that's awesome.
I like to think I feel so much wiser than like my 20-year-old self. I feel like that guy was an idiot. So I can't wait till I'm like 60 and think my 40-year-old self is an idiot.
Maybe it'll go the other direction. You'd be like, dang, 40 was the sweet spot. Yeah. Now I'm an idiot again.
Who knows?
That's good.
Right.
That's a good story.
That's my bachelor. Not my bachelor party, but another bachelor craft beer trip.
My turn again?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of my favorite things to do is play slow pitch softball. I love it. Somehow I'm like 20 again. Mm-hmm. My body feels 20 again when I do it. Not the day after, but when I'm playing. And the team I played on was awesome. We had this really great men's league. It was kind of the beer league, so there were multiple levels, different leagues that played different nights, so different levels of men's league, and we were basically the bottom men's league, so we called it the beer league because that's really what we were there to do. Play softball. We didn't really care if we won or lost. Yeah. And then the tradition was that if you made the last out in the game, that the next week you had to bring the beer.
Okay, that's good tradition.
Yeah, what really sucks is if you make the last out like 3 or 4 games in a row.
Ooh, that gets expensive.
And we had one guy, one of the older guys on the team. He was like the original. I mean, this team literally had played for like 35 years in a row or something. Like,
that's amazing.
Yeah, crazy. So one of the OGs, every once in a while he'd be like, hey, I got you next week. Like, if you were like... if you were on a streak. Yeah. Like, dude, thank you. Yeah. It was going to be like Coors Light next week. Of course, when I moved to Texas, I had to leave that team. And so one of the last nights before we literally packed everything up and started driving to Texas, I went and played my last game with them. And I think the memorable experience, of course, was playing that game and then sitting around. And I mean, like I said, there were some old guys, some younger guys, and we all just sit and drink good beer and just sit there and talk until like they turn the lights out at the stadium. And we just keep talking, sitting in the dark.
I love that.
Yeah, a lot of fun conversations, a lot of good beer. I kind of liked making the last out so that I could bring the beer just because it was my thing. And that's where I find joy, is bringing beer to people. So sometimes I would do the right thing and bring, Heineken, maybe some Sierra Nevada. That's the beers they liked. Every once in a while I'd bring some weird stuff and they would hate me for it.
They're like, wait, stop challenging our palates.
One of the guys didn't drink, so I always brought root beer for him.
Oh, you're so thoughtful.
And one of the guys didn't like beer, or like cider, so I would bring a cider for him.
Wow, so. They must have loved you.
Always tried to please everybody's tastes. That's how I am with beer. But yeah, so that last game was very bittersweet because I didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
This is one of the few things, basically drinking with you and...
I was going to say, I'm on that list, right?
Yeah, you, drinking with you, hanging out with you, playing ping pong in my garage. Yeah. You kicking my butt every time. Every time.
No, I'm sure you want to.
No, I don't. No, I didn't. I didn't. I kept track.
That's funny.
You're consistent.
I guess
That's the
so.
problem. Yeah, and you would consistently beat me by like 3 points, like every time. We were both very consistent.
It was like neck and neck. Yeah.
So my softball team, drinking beer with my softball team, and drinking beer and hanging out with you is the two main things I miss from home.
Yeah.
So some good times drinking beer with my boys on the softball field for sure.
Yeah. See, it fits the recipe. Small group of people you like in craft beer. Yeah, that's awesome. It's funny too, you've always been the person that like brings something to the gathering of people. And because I remember before you were into craft beer, when there was like social get-togethers, oftentimes you would show up with like pizza or twists. And I'd always be so excited because I love round table twists. And sometimes you would just show up with like 24, 36 twists. And I'd just be like, yes, like this is so awesome. So you carry on the tradition into craft beer. Okay, I'll tell my second beer story that's very memorable is the first time I ever went to like a beer festival. So this was basically the YOLO beer festival that used to take place at it's since closed, but we've talked about it before, but Superwork restaurant. They had like basically their restaurant was under the highway, which is kind of cool because it would be in the summer, so it'd be hot, but you're under not a highway, sorry, it's like it's the overpass that goes over the highway. But they were kind of like under that as kind of a cool place for a restaurant because it was all shaded basically. So they would just set up all these like little tents in the underneath the overpass, and it was just a smaller beer festival. But it was the first time I ever went to a beer festival and just was like, oh wow, I get to try like 60 different beers like all in one place. And I'll just never forget the first time we went. It was so fun. And then from that moment on, I was like, oh man, I love going to beer festivals. So I went to that pretty much from the first year I went. I think I probably went like 5 or 6 years in a row. Every year I went until it kind of stopped when the restaurant closed. They haven't done that particular festival since. But yeah, it was a really good festival. It was mostly local stuff. And then for whatever reason, they always had the New Glarus there, which makes no sense because it's like out in the middle of nowhere in California. There is a Wisconsin beer that you can only buy in Wisconsin. So I don't know like why they were sending their beer.
Yeah, what were they doing?
It's like not good marketing or advertising because I can't buy it. But they would always have the Belgian Red every year. And every year I would just go back again and again and again and just have them fill up my little 2-ounce tasting glass.
Or are they trying to entice people to come to Wisconsin or what?
I guess, I don't know, or like maybe someone on the beer festival panel was like friends with someone at New Glarus and was like, send us beer. But yeah, that's how I got exposed to that brewery. It's this super tiny beer festival. So yes, I had a lot of fun, and that kind of like ever since I went to that one, now I'm like, yeah, very interested in going to beer festivals because it's just a great way to try a bunch of different stuff all at once, which I think is the most fun.
My first beer festival ever was the first year we went to the Great American Beer Festival. So,
oh my goodness. You went straight to one of the biggest ones ever. That's really funny.
And all I remember from that, like the most memorable experience was us running to Cigar City.
Yes.
I feel like we didn't know like how to pace ourselves. We had no idea.
Absolutely not.
Like, we thought that they were going to shut it down in 5 minutes.
Yes.
I don't know. We literally ran to... we got there so early, too. So we were, like, super far up in line, but we had to wait forever. And then we ran to Cigar City.
I had my hit list. Well, we didn't know what to expect, and I had never been to something so big before.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the scale of it is insane. Because the nice thing I will say about going to a little beer festival is like you can basically go to every tent or every like little booth and kind of try. Basically, you can try everything. But in the time allotted. But when you go to something that big, it's like it's a whole another level. Like it's literally impossible for you to try even like 100th of what's available, so you got to be surgical. Yeah,
I did later go to one at Wrigley Field. It was the Sacramento Beer Festival or something, And it's funny that you mentioned like New Glarus being at that one, because I remember Founders, like there were all these Sacramento breweries, and then Founders had a booth.
Yeah.
Turns out they were like starting to distribute
Okay.
that area, so it made more sense than New Glarus. But it was still really funny to see Founders like, what are you guys doing at the Sacramento Beer Festival? But
yeah, some of the fun of like some of those smaller festivals is they'll have some random brewery there. So you like never know what you're gonna get.
But yeah, being able to basically taste everything there is really cool.
Yeah.
That's a good memory, your first beer fest.
Yeah.
Like open your eyes to all the things. I like it too because you can try stuff you just wouldn't ever try. That's what I like too. Because you're like, well, it's a 3-ounce pour or something, and if I don't like it, I'll just pour it out.
Exactly.
Get something else. That's what I love. You just try so many things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's to me is the main desire. And then trying things like side to side, basically like back to back, side to side almost.
Yeah. Speaking of, that's my next memory.
Okay.
So, as you may know, as frequent listeners to the podcast, my favorite style of beer is Goza. Specifically, I am a watermelon Goza connoisseur. So if you have a watermelon Goza, I'll try it and I'll tell you if it's good. And I'll tell you if it's bad. So, I loved Briny Melon Goza from Anderson Valley. And then we found Fieldworks Salted Watermelon Goza, which was amazing.
Yes.
I became obsessed with that beer. I became obsessed every year waiting for that beer to come out. And it was usually like August, but it just depended on when like they got the watermelons and like how the watermelon season was or all this stuff. So I would I would email them like, are you making the beer or what? Like, when is this coming out? So anyway, I was obsessed. I was the Karen of watermelon Goza. So anyway, that came out. I had a briny melon in my fridge. I had just found Green Zebra from Founders in the grocery store. So I had Founders watermelon Goza. I had a Fieldwork watermelon Goza. I had the briny melon Goza, and then also the local brewery in town, Blue Note, they had a watermelon Goza on tap.
Amazing.
So I ran down and got a crowler of that. Invited Jason over.
Yes.
And I actually just recently bought these like little taster sets with like 4 little taster glasses. So my wife, while we were in the garage, my wife took all 4 beers, set it up. She knew which beer was in each place, but we didn't know. So we did a blind tasting of watermelon Gozas, as one does. Right? Any normal person.
Yeah, it's like the Pepsi challenge, except like 1,000 times more obscure.
And then I had the distinct advantage of having tasted all 4 prior to this.
Right.
So I had an idea of what they tasted like. Jason, I think you probably only had 2 of the 4.
Yeah, I was going in pretty blind.
Yeah, you only had briny melon and salted watermelon. So,
right.
So then we had to write which one we thought each one was and which one we liked the best. Clear winner, briny melon Goza from Anderson Valley, I think, was the clear winner on both sides, right?
It was, which blew my mind. And that's why I love like tasting things side by side, but also blind is like where all assumptions go to die. Because you think so many things, but then when it comes down to like, I'm just tasting this and I don't know which is which, you really discover a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like drinking the Green Zebra from Founders, all by itself, if you were only drinking that, you would be like, yeah, it's watermelon, whatever. But side by side with the other 3, it tasted like apple juice. Like it was wrong. I was like, oh, this is not good. It's so strange that in isolation, you would think, yeah, it's watermelon. But compared to actual really good watermelon Gozas, it was trash.
Yes.
Sorry, Founders, but Green Zebra's trash.
It was not good. I remember we had the same experience, like, oh, this is apple juice. Like, and I just thought, like, there's no way Anderson Valley, which was a great brewery, is going to beat, like, because Fieldwork makes such a big deal out of the way they make their watermelon Goza, where they're like, oh, we take like 500 watermelons and like hand squeeze them into the beer. I was like, it's going to be the best, right? Who knows? Maybe Anderson Valley does the same thing, but they're just so much larger scale that it just assumed like the artisanal, like field work, small batch is going to be better, but it was not.
No, it's good.
Yes,
it's
excellent,
good.
But not the best.
The other thing too is that briny melon is going to be more consistent.
Yes.
Whereas the fieldwork one is more variable based on the watermelon crop. So I think
I guess that's a good point. You do get like more when you're, doing something on a larger scale, you're getting more consistency. But for whatever reason, when we tried it that day,
yeah, it was good.
Yeah, Anderson
It
Valley
won the day.
Definitely the winner.
So anyway, that was like we would usually like you come over and we'd drink beers together, but like that was like extra fun because we just had this whole thing set up. I had like specifically gone to each of these places and gotten the beers, and I was like stoked.
Oh, I was so excited when I found out what we were doing.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's another thing I highly recommend is like set up blind beer tastings, especially if it's a similar style or like that was a very specific, like not only is it a goza, it's a watermelon goza, but even just like get like 2 or 3 IPAs you really like, and then get someone to randomize them for you and try them and prepare to be like surprised at the results sometimes.
Well, grab 3 you like, and then one you don't know, and then
that's
that
a
one
really good idea.
You'll be like, I loved this one. You're like, wait, that's the one I didn't know. So, yeah, it's fun.
That's super fun. All right, cool. Okay, well, I have my third memory is with you when we went to go try Pliny the Younger for the first time. I'll just never forget. We waited in line not that long the first year.
No, the first year was pretty good. That was when we had the wives with us.
Yes. Oh, maybe my memory is from the second time.
The second time we waited a long time.
Okay, it must be the second time.
The first time we went on the tour.
Yeah, it was the second time. Maybe that's why it was sweeter, because we waited longer. Because the first time, we had the wives, and I feel like we didn't wait that long, so it wasn't that bad. The second time, we waited for a very long time, like hours and hours and hours. And we finally got in, and we sat. They put us like in the corner because there's just the 2 of us at this bar. I just remember like everyone was obviously getting Pliny the Younger. You had your little bracelet on. You could only get like 2 pours of the river. And we were just sitting in this bar, and I like remember looking down the bar, and there's all these uber beer nerds that also waited like 3 or 4 hours in line, and they all had their little glasses of Pliny the Younger, and they were all like nerding out and smelling it and just drinking it and having like, their amazing little beer experiences. And I thought, these are my people. I don't want to talk to any of them. Please don't. None of you come talk to me. I don't want to talk to any of you. But
oh my gosh,
I'm glad you all exist and we're having the same experience.
Oh man.
I wanted to talk to you though, Steven, if that helps.
First off, waiting in the line isn't that bad because you are waiting in line with people that are just like you. Because the average person would be like, why would you wait that long in line for a beer? Just a beer. But everyone in that line, they understand. Like, I don't think there's very many people, maybe 1 or 2 in that line thinking like, what the heck am I doing waiting in this stupid long line?
Right.
Like, everyone is in that line because they know what's at the end of the line.
Yes, exactly.
And they want that more than they want to not stand in the line. So that's what's cool, is that everyone around you wants the same thing, knows what's coming, and is just as excited as you are. So you guys have fun conversations. We actually did have some fun conversations with people around us, learning about some beer fest, seeing how far people traveled to come to this Pliny the Younger release, and it's just really cool.
Yeah, I'm being dramatic. I do like talking to other people. I'm an introvert at heart, but I play a very convincing extrovert.
Yeah, which is funny because Jason says that he doesn't want to talk to them, but like he talks to them more than I do. Maybe he's more polite than I am.
I do.
I think you are better at like feigning interest in other people.
It's 50-50. Sometimes you get into random conversations and they're fun, and sometimes you get into them and you're like, oh no.
How do I get out of this?
Yeah. Why did I initiate this conversation?
Like 3 times a day I have that feeling. Like, oh, dang it. I thought this was going to be good.
Or when you're like in the conversation you don't want to be, but I'm like a very, I don't know, like I want to be polite, so like I'll ask a follow-up question which like then demonstrates that I was paying attention and listening. And then you see like the delight in their face, and they're gonna launch into like another 10-minute addition to the conversation, and you're like, why didn't I just shut my mouth and say, have a nice day? I just had to ask, like, oh, tell me more about that.
I'm going to edit out all this cynical stuff.
Okay. It's not fitting.
No, I'm definitely leaving it in.
It's not on brand.
I want people to know our real personalities.
That's okay. If they've listened this far, it's going to come out eventually.
Yeah, they know. Well, I have one more.
Okay.
So I have my sort of new family here in Texas, mostly coworkers, because that's where I am most of the times at work. Mm-hmm. But I have some really cool coworkers, as we've established in prior podcasts. They bring me beer, and I bring them beer, and we all love beer together, and we all love learning about beer together.
Yeah, I'm jealous of your coworkers. They always bring you amazing beers. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So they like to get shout outs on the podcast too. So
and all of their conversations are very interesting. We're talking about
yes. When the pandemic first hit, I'm in a workplace that like basically got shut down. So we were at home a lot, and a few of us would work at a time, but there was basically long stretches of time where we didn't get to see each other. And so we started organizing these Zoom happy hours. And so we would all get on Zoom, all have something to drink, and we would just they were terrible. Like, we would put filters on.
Are you serious?
So we all had some weird face going on. And then one of my coworkers just starts leaving this parade of like different wigs she has. We're like, where do you get all these wigs? She had like 6 or 7 different wigs she put on. It started to get a little weirder as we drank more.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, one person's like just drinking straight from the Crown Royal bottle. I'm like into my 4th double IPA, and pretty sure they're like a couple days after these Zoom happy hours that were just lost completely. To me being in bed all day the next day. Anyway, I had some very, very memorable experiences on these Zoom calls. And then fast forward to being able to actually go out again. And one of the most memorable was like, we had started the podcast. We were maybe like 4 or 5 episodes into the podcast. And so like I became the beer podcast guy. Yeah. And we were starting to like talk about like at work, like what beer styles we liked, and maybe what like beer styles people might like if they tried some. And so we did an actual happy hour at Pine House Pizza, and it just was so fun because all we were doing was like really intentionally drinking beers and trying different beer styles and talking about like what we liked and what we didn't like, and it was so fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that you guys basically started the Zoom tradition that eventually translated into the hanging out for real.
To the real life, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was really cool because, I mean, I'd only been in Texas for, I don't know, like 6 months at that point. Mm-hmm. So it was, all these people they were pretty new relationships. But it was really cool that we were already, like, I have such a really, really cool group of coworkers, and the fact that we all wanted to like jump on these Zoom calls and hang out together, even when like, especially because we couldn't hang out at work, was pretty cool. It's pretty special.
Yeah, that's really awesome. You guys are gonna be, that's like a friendships that's like born in scenarios like that. I feel like are great friendships. There's
some pretty good screenshot grabs from those.
Oh gosh, yeah, I can imagine.
Still floating around out there.
All right, send those to attenuation.contact or contact.attenuation@gmail because I want to see them, especially if they're Steven. All right, cool. Well, those are some good beer drinking memories. Do we have any? I think that's all of them, right?
I think so. Well, no. I have lots of good memories of drinking beer with you.
Yes, of course.
A lot of those we've gone over at Beer Fest and Russian River and Sierra Nevada. all the big ones.
Yeah, I
thought
feel
it'd
like
be
we
fun to
told all
throw in
those stories. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun to throw in some random ones.
Yeah, more obscure ones. All right, very good then. Well, as I just mentioned, if you want to share your memorable beer drinking experiences with us, you should email us at contact.attenuation@gmail.com. And we're also on Instagram at attenuation.podcast.
Lots of fun stuff going down on the Instagram.
Oh, yes. The Instagram is good. Steven posts about 30 pictures for every one picture I post. So
because I drink a lot of beer.
I drink them and I forget to take pictures of them. So
I'm like opening a beer and like, I guess I'll take a picture of it so I can post to Instagram.
Yeah, it becomes a chore.
It's okay. I want the people to see what I'm drinking.
Yeah. Well, it's fun too. It kind of like, it's like a little bit of a journal of all the stuff you drink. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that will do it for episode 34 of Attenuation, a beer podcast. My name is Jason, and I'm joined by my best friend since 8th grade, Stephen.
That's me.
That's correct.
I almost forgot what to say.
This is why we had a script before.
Episode 34, and I still don't know. Still catches me off guard.
We'll get it down eventually. All right. Well, we are saying farewell, and we will see you next week for episode 35.
Awesome. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Attenuation, a beer podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on Instagram or Facebook for more fun content. Catch you next week. Cheers!